Hello YouTube and welcome to a new experiment. Simple videos to go with my Wowhead lore articles. This is a brand new setup, so I apologize in advance for audio quality and the less than elaborate visuals. The Night Elf Heritage Armor questline is on its way in patch 10.1.7, Fury Incarnate, and we've decided to take a look at this race's history to get an idea of where they've been and what's brought them to this upcoming story. In ancient times, a tribe of nocturnal trolls settled near the Well of Eternity, a lake formed from the lifeblood of the world soul of Azshara herself. These trolls were affected by such powerful magic, and over time it began to change them. They became stronger, taller, more intelligent, and naturally attuned to magic and the arcane. This new civilization named themselves the Kaldorei, a Danassian word that means children of the stars, and they began to worship the moon goddess Elune. The Night Elves also caught the attention of the well god Cenarius, who taught them about the natural world and how to live in harmony with nature. The Night Elf Empire grew to stretch across all of Old Kalimdor. At the height of their power, they were ruled by Queen Azshara, who was said to exemplify the most coveted traits of her people. Noble, beautiful, and extremely gifted in the arcane, Azshara was adored by a people who, in her honor, renamed their capital city Zin Ashari, or the Glory of Azshara. Here, Azshara and her highborn tirelessly studied the Well of Eternity, determined to unlock all its secrets. As their power grew, so did their arrogance, and they began to recklessly abuse the arcane power they possessed. Eventually, Azshara's arrogance and lust for power led to her agreeing to a deal with the fallen titan Sargeras. She would help summon him and his burning legion to Azeroth, and he would help rid the world of all they considered to be inferior, which included many night elves. Once the world had been cleansed, Azshara and Sargeras would rule Azeroth together, or so she planned. Azshara and her highborn began working on corrupting the Well of Eternity, transforming it into the only portal powerful enough to allow Sargeras and his legion through. Though disturbed by the highborn's lust for arcane power, Cenarius still believed the Night Elves could live in perfect harmony with nature. He taught the young Malfurion Stormrage to become the first druid, and it was through these newfound abilities that Malfurion discovered the reason why demons had begun to appear in Azeroth, and how the Kaldorei's beloved queen had betrayed them. A Night Elf resistance was formed, led by Malfurion Stormrage and his love Tyrande Whisperwind, the high priestess of Elune. Malfurion's brother Illidan, who also loved Tyrande but who she rejected for Malfurion, seemed to betray the resistance when he joined the Highborn and accepted the powers of a demon hunter. However, Illidan was working as a double agent, determined to defeat the enemy from within. In the war now known as the War of the Ancients, the Night Elf resistance was supported by many allies, including Cenarius and the Dragon Aspects. It was during this war that Deathwing revealed himself, betraying his fellow Aspects and nearly decimating the Blue Dragon flight. In the end, the Well of Eternity became so unstable with power that it imploded in a world-shattering event known as the Sundering. This ancient disaster tore the world apart, splitting Old Kalimdor into the continents as we know them now and leaving a great never-ending storm known as the Maelstrom where the well had once been. The world's population was absolutely decimated. Those Night Elves who remained gathered in Mount Hyjal, a sacred land, home to many wild gods and largely untouched by Azshara's empire. Before the well was destroyed, Illidan's Stormrage had managed to collect 3 vials of its water. Wanting to preserve the Night Elf's arcane power, Illidan poured one of these vials into a lake in Mount Hyjal, transforming the waters and effectively creating a new Well of Eternity. This act infuriated the other Night Elves. They blamed the War of the Ancients and the Sundering on the Highborn's greed for the power they got from the old Well of Eternity, and viewed Illidan's creation of a new well as nothing less than treason. And so it was that while Malfurion Stormrage and Tyrande Whisperwind became the new leaders of the Night Elves, Illidan Stormrage was condemned to imprisonment deep below Hyjal, where he was guarded day and night by the Wardens, led by Maeve Shadowsong. In addition, the Night Elves outlawed all arcane magic, condemning it as inherently dangerous, a ban that remained in place for thousands of years until very recently. However, the new Well of Eternity remained a threat. It was the Sundering that caused the Dragonflights to leave the Dragon Isles. By now, even the Aspects were badly affected by the war. Deathwing had betrayed them, and Malygos, who had lost nearly his whole flight, had isolated himself and was slowly going mad. But when Alexstrasza, Nosdormu, and Ysera visited the Night Elves, it was these 3 who had a solution for the new well. Alexstrasza brought a seed from Gahanur, the tallest tree in the Emerald Dream, and she planted it within the well. This seed grew into Teldrassil, the first world tree, regulating the well's energies and protecting it from ever being abused, or from being used to summon Sargeras' legion again. Ysera bound the tree to the Emerald Dream so that all Night Elf druids could wander the dream at will. Finally, Nosdormu blessed the tree, for as long as it stood, the Night Elves would have the gift of immortality. In the centuries that followed the Sundering, the Night Elves never again became a world empire. Instead, they remained mostly isolated, at one with nature, apart from the mortal races. This all changed during the Third War. First, orcs arrived from across the sea and began to fell the trees of Ashenvale. Furious at this destruction of their forest, the Night Elves attacked. In the ensuing conflict, the orcs managed to kill the wild guard Cenarius, a great blow to the Night Elves. Worse, the Legion had returned and brought with it the undead scourge. When Tyrande saw that the Legion was once again a threat, she released Illidan Stormrage, believing him to be their best bet against the demons. As before, Illidan worked as a double agent, feigning allegiance to the demon army while intending to betray them. But in the end, Illidan was forced to flee to Outland, where he began to create an army of demon hunters, the Illidari, and devoted himself to his plans to finally destroy the Burning Legion once and for all. Eventually, still viewed as a villain, Illidan would be killed by players during the events of the Burning Crusade. Back on Azeroth, determined to claim the power of the Well of Eternity, the demon Archimond launched an attack on Teldrassil. To save their world from the Legion once again, Malfurion Stormrage made a terrible decision. He summoned thousands of wisps, the spirits of fallen night elves that swarmed around Archimond and the World Tree before detonating. The explosion destroyed Archimond and the Legion threat, but it also destroyed Teldrassil, along with the Night Elves' immortality. Over time, Malfurion Stormrage became trapped in the Emerald Dream. When this happened, a faction of druids led by Fandral Staghelm took the opportunity to grow a new World Tree in the hopes that it would restore their immortality, a plan that Malfurion had opposed. This tree was named Teldrassil, or Crown of Earth. However, Nozdormu did not bless this tree, and the Night Elves remained mortal. Worse, Teldrassil was tainted by corruption from the start. Even so, Teldrassil, with its capital city of Darnassus, became the Night Elves' new home. For World of Warcraft players, Teldrassil is the first home that most Night Elves will have known. The Night Elf race's starting era was on Teldrassil, and the first major city they would have visited, Darnassus. When Malfurion was finally freed from what turned out to be the Emerald Nightmare, he discovered that Fandral was working with Xavius, the Nightmare Lord, a former Highborn who joined the Legion and became the first Satyr. Teldrassil was corrupted because Fandral had grafted a fell-tainted branch onto the World Tree. The corruption linked Teldrassil to the Emerald Nightmare, but Malfurion was eventually able to remove the branch. In the end, the now seemingly corruption-free tree was blessed by Alexstrasza and Ysera, but still not by Nozdormu. As it turned out, Teldrassil remained tinged with corruption. Removing it completely would destroy the tree, but though the corruption sometimes caused problems, Alexstrasza and Ysera's blessings helped keep it contained. Malfurion, now awakened, enjoyed many years at Tyrande's side. In time, even Cenarius returned, awakening after a period of rest, as wild gods do. Though Illidan was killed at the Black Temple, his demon hunter abilities meant his soul was sent to the Twisting Nether. His body, meanwhile, was guarded by Maeve and her wardens. During the Legion's third invasion of Azeroth, Maeve Shadowsong made the decision to release Illidan's demon hunters to help in the fight against the demons. The Illidari revealed Illidan's true plans and joined the Alliance and Horde as allies. The Naru Zera, believing Illidan to be the destined child of light and shadow who would end the age of demons, planned to return Illidan's soul to his body. The warlock Gul'dan, meanwhile, sought Illidan's body to be used as a vessel for the spirit of Sargeras. The Nightmare Lord, Xavius, also made a return and, once again, planned to trap Malfurion in the Emerald Nightmare. While Tyrande and Ysera fought to save him, Xavius managed to corrupt the Green Dragon aspect, transforming her into a creature of the Nightmare. In her final moments, Ysera was forced to fight against her friends, and Tyrande was one of those forced to kill her. Upon Ysera's death, Elune reached down and cleansed her, leaving a dragon constellation in the sky. Ysera's spirit was sent to Ardenweald, the death realm of Elune's sister the Winter Queen, to rest within a wild seed. Eventually, Ysera's plan to return Illidan's soul to his body was successful, but though still dedicated to destroying the Legion, Illidan rejected Xera's gift of the light. Xera responded by chaining Illidan in light, trying to force her gift on him, but Illidan broke free, killing Xera in the process. In the end, though it came at a cost, Azeroth won the war against the Legion. The Titans imprisoned Sargeras at the seat of the Pantheon, and Illidan remained behind as Sargeras' jailer. Illidan left a message for both Malfurion and Tyrande, finally accepting their relationship with his blessing and asking that they take care of each other. The end of the Legion should have brought peace to the Night Elves. Sadly, it was not to be. The Horde's new war chief, Sylvanas Windrunner, started an aggressive campaign to capture the continent of Kalimdor for the Horde. Known as the War of Thorns, the Night Elves found themselves once again facing Horde invaders in their lands. Sylvanas strategized to attack and capture Teldrassil, officially so that the Horde could control the flow of Azerite from Kalimdor to the Eastern Kingdoms. However, Sylvanas was secretly working for the jailer, and her true intentions behind the war was to send as many souls to the Moor as possible, thus empowering the jailer for his upcoming bid to control the Shadowlands. During the war, on the beach of Darkshore, a dying Derelin Summer Moon told Sylvanas that she would never be able to kill Hope. In seeming retaliation, Sylvanas ordered the immediate burning of Teldrassil, destroying the World Tree and wiping out its night elf population. Unknown to mortals at the time, the goddess Elune, a goddess of life, has a sister in death, the Winter Queen of the Shadowlands. At the time of the burning of Teldrassil, the Winter Queen had called out to her sister for help. No souls were coming into her realm of Ardenweald, and with nothing to sustain it, it was withering away. Therefore, when so many night elves died in Teldrassil, rather than leave them to their transformation into wisps, Elune tried to send their souls to her sister, but the souls were siphoned to the Moor instead. Not all night elves who died in the War of Thorns burned with Teldrassil. Some, like Derelin Summermoon, were raised into undeath, becoming forsaken Dark Rangers. Those night elves who survived became refugees. Once again, their World Tree home had been taken from them. The burning of Teldrassil kicked off the events of the Fourth War between the Alliance and Horde. Tyrande Whisperwind, furious that such an atrocity had been committed against her people, furious that Elune did not seem to care to help, and furious with what she felt was a lack of support from the Alliance, performed an ancient ritual that would transform her into the avatar of the Night Warrior. As the Night Warrior, Tyrande was the incarnation of Elune's wrath. It gave her great and terrible powers, but came at a cost. No one who has ever performed the ritual before has survived. Tyrande led her people to fight fiercely against the Horde, specifically the Forsaken in Darkshore. After Sylvanas was ousted as war chief, the Alliance and Horde finally signed a peace treaty, much to Tyrande's fury. For the Night Elves, the war was still on, and the Horde was warned to stay out of their lands. Tyrande eventually cornered and killed Nathanas Blackcaller, Sylvanas' champion, but she failed to reach Sylvanas before the Banshee Queen tore the veil and left through the gateway into the Shadowlands. Still determined to get her revenge, Tyrande followed Sylvanas to the Shadowlands. Meanwhile, her adopted daughter, Chandra's Feathermoon, had grown increasingly worried for Tyrande and what the Night Warrior powers were doing to her. Tyrande finally faced Sylvanas, but just as she was about to finish her, Elune seemed to abandon her, draining her of the Night Warrior's powers. She fell unconscious, and it seemed she might die. To save her, Chandras and Azshara sought the help of the previous Night Warriors whose souls rested in Ardenweald. In the end, Elune herself was drawn down into Tyrande's body. She made peace with her sister, the Winter Queen, who didn't know Elune had tried to send Night Elf souls to her. Elune also revealed that the Night Elves were her favorite children, and that she only intervened to stop Tyrande from dying. If Tyrande continued to choose vengeance instead of renewal, the Night Warrior powers would kill her. Deciding to focus on her people's future rather than avenge their past, Tyrande chose renewal. Her choice balanced Elune's powers, allowing Tyrande to wield them without losing herself or her life. Elune and the Winter Queen created the Sister's Tear, a powerful artifact resembling a seed. Over time, the Night Elf souls were rescued from the Moor and sent to Ardenweald as previously planned. Here, they were welcomed by the Winter Queen and offered the eternal tranquility of an afterlife in her forest. Instead, the souls chose to invest in their people's future. In a scene that resembled the wisps that saved Azeroth by destroying Nordrassil, these souls swarmed around the Sister's Tear, infusing the seed with their very selves. The Winter Queen gifted the seed to Tyrande. It would be the start of a new world tree. Now long since free of Sylvanas' influence, those Night Elves who had become undead Dark Rangers were also given a choice. They could remain Forsaken or return to the Alliance. Some chose to return, the first official undead Alliance members. After the reawakening and return to the Dragon Isles, Tyrande and Malfurion used the Green Dragonflight's portal in the Ancient Bough to bring the seed to the Emerald Dream, where they planted a new world tree, a Murdrassil. This world tree symbolizes the future for the Night Elves, but it is also vulnerable as it grows, and when Primalist forces attacked the Ancient Bough, Tyrande and Malfurion traveled to Ardenweald to beg Azshara return to Azeroth and help protect the dream. But Azshara can only return if another soul took her place in Ardenweald. Malfurion's Stormrage would have to stay behind. At first, Tyrande would not hear of it, but Malfurion convinced her to leave him behind. Once Azshara is no longer needed, she will return to Ardenweald and Malfurion will awaken once again. Before the lovers parted, Tyrande told Malfurion how tired she was. After centuries of conflict, trauma, and pain, Tyrande and all the Night Elves are truly exhausted. They need a home, a place to rest. They need a Murdrassil. As Iridikon works on his own plans, he wants us distracted, and he's chosen his distraction well. The Fire Primalist Incarnate, Fireak, has his sights set on the still vulnerable Murdrassil. If the Night Elves have any hope for the future, the growing tree needs to survive the coming onslaught. Nordrassil was destroyed by Night Elf wisps, sacrificing themselves and the tree to save the world. In contrast, Teldrassil is infused with night elf souls, devoted to saving their people's future. Teldrassil was corrupted, then burned, destroyed by fire. In contrast, Teldrassil will face Fyrax's Shadowflame, a terrible blaze that corrupts and burns everything it touches. In many ways, Teldrassil represents the Night Elves' final hope in the face of their greatest fears. If you enjoyed this audio companion to my latest lore essay, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you didn't, well, the unnarrated article is available as always on Wowhead.